Ethan Cole had fixed thousands of computers in his life, but none of them belonged to a billionaire, CEO who could buy the entire city block with the swipe of a pen. He was a single dad working 2 jobs, living in a rented apartment that creaked every time the wind hit the windows. His toolbox was old, his car older, but his hands, steady, precise, and skilled, were the tools that actually kept him alive. And today, those hands were nervously adjusting the settings of a sleek, glass-black laptop that probably cost more than his yearly salary. The building was massive, 40 floors of polished steel, reflective glass, and people who moved with the pace of power. Ethan had never been in a place like this. Even the elevator smelled expensive. He kept reminding himself why he was here: work, fix the computer, go home, pick up Lily from school. Don't screw this up. When her assistant led him to the office, he didn't expect it to feel like stepping into a different world. Floor-to-ceiling windows, soft gold light spilling across a marble desk. And in the center of it all, an untouched serenity, like the room belonged to someone who didn't allow chaos anywhere near her. The CEO wasn't in. She was in a board meeting. Ethan had half an hour, maximum. He opened the laptop carefully. A blue error screen blinked, the kind that looked simple but usually held a deeper problem behind it. He typed commands, ran diagnostics, and let the system rebuild itself. As the computer rebooted, a folder popped up on the corner of the screen. Personal. He didn't open it, but the computer did. It flashed for a second, glitched, and suddenly, photos. 2 days after the accidental photo incident, Ethan Cole received another message from the top. Floor, the kind of message that made his stomach twist. It came directly from her office, stamped with her initials like a signature of command. System acting strange again. Come immediately. AR. IR. Alina Rivers, the billionaire everyone feared. The woman who asked if he thought she was pretty, and then acted like the world didn't shake after she said it. Ethan stared at the message, wondering if it was really about the computer or something else entirely. But he didn't have time to overthink. He grabbed his old bag, told his daughter Lily he'd be home a little late, and drove back to the skyscraper where power lived in glass towers. When he stepped into her office again, he noticed it immediately. Something was different. Alina stood by the window, arms crossed, gazing at the city as if she owned every inch of it. But her posture wasn't cold today. It was unsure. Something restless moved behind her eyes. "You're late," she said without turning. "I came as fast as I could," Ethan replied softly. She finally faced him, her expression unreadable. "The computer, fix it." He walked to her desk, opened the laptop, and froze. There was nothing wrong. Everything was functioning perfectly. No glitches, no errors, no issues. He looked up at her questioningly. She looked away. "I might have exaggerated," she said, voice low. Ethan blinked slowly. "So? There's no problem?" "Not with the computer." She met his eyes again. "Sit." He sat. Not because she ordered, but because something in her voice sounded like it hadn't been used before. Softness, vulnerability. She waited a long moment before speaking. "That picture you saw," she whispered. "The lake." The smile. "That wasn't meant to be on this laptop. It was on my personal drive. But I transferred it wrong." "You don't need to explain," Ethan said gently. "I do." Her voice broke just slightly. The first crack in the armor she wore like a second skin. "Everyone in this world sees only the CEO, the billionaire. The woman who fires without blinking. The woman who built 3 companies by 35. But nobody sees her. The one in the photo." Ethan didn't speak. She stepped closer, her heels silent on the marble, her presence warm and suddenly human. "I haven't been that woman in years," she confessed. "And when you saw her, when you looked at that picture, you didn't look at me like the world does. You didn't look like you wanted something. You didn't look impressed. You just—" Her voice trembled. "You just saw me." Ethan swallowed the lump rising in his throat. "I look at people, not their titles." A strange smile touched her lips, small, fragile. The kind that looked like it hadn't been allowed out in a long, long time. "You're different," she whispered. "Do you know that?" "Maybe, or maybe everyone just stopped being human around you." She inhaled sharply, a breath she didn't mean to take. For a moment, the ruthless billionaire disappeared, replaced by a woman who was simply tired of expectations, loneliness, perfection, and the cage of marble offices. She turned away as if embarrassed by her own admission. My life is... She searched for the right word. Complicated. So is mine, Ethan said, surprising even himself. But that's okay. Life can be messy. People can be messy. She looked back at him, eyes softening. You have a daughter, right? Lily, she's 9. Something warm passed across her face. You talk about her differently. People at this level talk about children like investments. You talk about her like she's your world. She is, Ethan replied quietly. She's all I have. Alina exhaled. I envy that. You envy me? He almost laughed. You have someone who loves you without conditions. Someone who waits for you. Someone who knows you without the money, without the power. Do you know how rare that is for someone like me? He didn't, until she said it like that. She walked to the desk again, placing her hand beside his. Not touching, but close enough that he felt the warmth of her skin. Ethan, she said softly, I asked you something that day. A question I've never asked anyone. Do you think I'm pretty? He repeated. Her eyes dropped, almost shy. Yes. Why did you ask it? He asked gently. She hesitated, searching his face. Because I wanted to know what someone honest thinks of me, she whispered. Not the woman on magazine covers. Not the CEO everyone fears. Just me. And what if I said yes? Ethan asked, voice low. Her breath caught. Then, she swallowed, then it would matter more than you think. Silence wrapped around them, soft, delicate, charged. He didn't break eye contact. Alina, he said quietly, you are pretty. She inhaled sharply, lips parting, eyes widening with a mixture of disbelief and something deeper, something she had buried for years. And then she said the words she had been holding inside. No one has told me that in a very long time. Ethan stood slowly, closing the laptop gently, no longer pretending he was here for the machine. You don't need a computer fixed, he said softly. You need someone who sees you. She didn't deny it, because it was true. For the first time in her life, a billionaire CEO felt seen not as a brand, not as a power figure, not as a walking empire, but as a woman who had forgotten what it felt like to be admired without agenda. A woman who had forgotten what it felt like to be pretty. And that realization shook her deeper than any boardroom battle ever had. As he turned to leave, she stopped him. Ethan. He looked back. Her voice was barely a whisper. Will you come again? Even if the computer doesn't break? He smiled softly. Yes. Her heart fluttered in a way she didn't know it could. And that was the beginning. Not of a fairy tale, not of a billionaire romance, but of two lonely souls finally finding something they didn't know they were missing. Something real, something human, something beautiful.